All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to Wildcard Sports, and today I'm joined by Will from Hold My Helmet. Welcome, Will. Appreciate you coming on.
Steven, thanks for having me again. Get to talk more football. Your Niners, man, Brock Purdy. We'll get into
Yeah,
that later, but it looks like right now he's leading the MVP race.
yeah, it's looking good, and yeah, we'll definitely get into it. And yeah, he's fun to watch. And but let's just lead it off. Oh yeah, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, subscribe to Hold My Helmet before we go further. But let's just lead off here with the Eagles. I mean, they're on a 3-game skid right now. They lost to the Cowboys. They lost to the Niners, then the Cowboys, now the Seahawks. But I mean, the Seahawks did come back, and it was a wild finish, which was pretty crazy. But what do you think of the what do you think of the Eagles? Like, are they going to be fine going into the playoffs? I know the last 3 games of the season's really easy for them, so in that aspect, they should be fine. But what do you think of them going up into the playoffs?
Well, Steven, I think it's clear that the Philadelphia Eagles are the third best team in the NFC. I think it goes San Francisco, Dallas, and then Philadelphia. Look, Dallas
Yeah.
almost had their number the first time they played, and then they finally beat them last time. And the Eagles have struggled these last 3 games. Look, the defense, we all know the defense isn't good. I mean, Bradbury looks old. Slay's been getting hurt. I mean, their back end is it's hurting right now. But let's talk about the offense. They can't put teams away, Steven. I mean, they get leads on teams sometimes, and they cannot put teams away. They're in every game's close. I've never seen them. I have not seen one blowout from them this season. Maybe a game or two where they try and control teams, one by a touchdown or two. But I have not seen one blowout this year that I can remember. Can you? Because
Yeah, yeah, that is true. I don't think they do. I have their schedule pulled up really quick.
I know they beat the Bucks by I think 2 touchdowns, or was that the Bucks? Yeah, that was the Bucks earlier in the season. But it was like
Yeah,
25-11. That was even kind of close
25-11.
too.
Yeah,
So
you're right. They have like no blowouts. I mean, they're putting up 30 plus points a lot, but yeah.
there's something to be said about winning close games. That's why I was praising them earlier in the season. But then I realized they were all these close games because they've been struggling. These are teams that they should be putting away convincingly, like Dallas does, like San Francisco does, like Baltimore does, and they're just not doing that. They're a step below what they were last season. Maybe that's because they lost both their coordinators. That's probably a lot of the reason. But they're still obviously they're gonna win a playoff game. Whether or not they're going to win in the divisional round, let alone make it back to the NFC Championship game, that's yet to be seen. I would love to see another Eagles 49ers
Not,
rematch in the NFC Championship game, but
yeah.
that might not happen this year. Might not happen this year, Steven.
Yeah, I don't think it will. And if it does happen, it would be in San Francisco this time. But a lot relies on Jalen Hurts' health too. I mean, we can't rely on that going into the playoffs. They got 3 games left. Sure, it's against easy teams, but you still got to stay healthy at the end of the day. That's a big concern. If they lose Jalen Hurts, I mean, everything's over for the Eagles at that point. What do you think?
Well, that's a big thing. I mean, he doesn't really seem 100% healthy. He hasn't really seemed like it all season. So
No.
I don't know about what was going on in that game because I know he came into it sick. Did he take too much cough medicine or something? Because he was just chucking it up and just throwing interceptions, just throwing the ball
Yeah.
deep into double coverage. I don't know what he was thinking on some of those throws. He must have been a little loopy because that was very unlike Jalen Hurts. And well, I think this is a career high in interceptions this season for him. So he has been a little more turnover prone than usual. But he's still a top 10 quarterback. It's been some struggles this season. There obviously was going to be some slight regression after the season he had last year. And they're still a very good team. They're just going through some growing pains and learning that the league's tough, and every year you're not going to go to the Super Bowl. So
Yeah, I agree. I mean, yeah, he did he did have some crazy throws last night. He's taking risks, but it wasn't paying off. But yeah, I don't know. I think like Eagles fans, they don't have to worry too much. I know they're on a 3-game skid, but hey, my 49ers went on a 3-game skid and look where we
exactly.
are now. So, it's not the end of the world. Like I said, they got the Giants coming up, they got Arizona, and then the Giants again. I mean, the Giants will play them tough for sure. I'm sure the last game of the season at New York, it's going to be a tough game. I don't think it's going to be a blowout by any means. At least
They'll
that
sweep the
second one.
Giants. They'll sweep
Oh,
the
yeah,
Giants.
they'll sweep them, but I think they might give them some trouble there. I don't know. One of the games they might. I don't
I
know.
don't know about the Cardinals. The Cardinals might steal that one. Watch out for that one. Remember my words on that one. The Giants, they're gonna beat both the Giants both games. I mean,
That
but
would
the
be funny
Cardinals.
because the Cardinals did beat the Cowboys. So if they beat the They beat
That's
the
what I mean.
Eagles
I feel like
too.
they play good teams well. I mean, they kind of got blown out a little bit by the Niners, but Kyler Murray's interesting, very interesting player, and he'll keep a minute. I mean, he's not working with much right now, but what he's working with, he's been pretty impressive.
Yeah, definitely, and they'll run it down your throat like they gave the Niners. You know, we were great against the run, but we gave up 200 plus yards to the Cardinals. So yeah, I'm sure they're going to do that against the Eagles. So yeah,
Well, that's a weird thing because Kyler Murray's a running quarterback, and that's kind of what they're based on. So that's more of an anomaly, And you guys won convincingly, so I wouldn't really look too much into that.
but it wasn't even Kyler Murray. It was James Conner.
I know he had a big
Yeah,
day,
he had a
big
good
day,
day
but he's
too.
hurt a
But
lot, so they gotta get younger pieces in there, and they're gonna be high in the draft, so they got a lot to look forward to if they keep Kyler Murray. That's a whole other discussion that I don't would take us probably hours if we got into right now. So let's not even go down that road.
yeah, for sure. All right, but moving on. But yes, Eagles fans, you guys will be fine. Nothing to worry about. Moving on, we got two really good matchups this coming week. First one, Dolphins Cowboys. I mean, Cowboys coming off that whooping in Buffalo. Can they bounce back? Another road game for the Cowboys. It's going to be very tough. Right off the bat, what do you think, Will? Like, how's this game going to go for the Cowboys?
So Cowboys Ravens.
No.
To me,
Cowboys Dolphins.
Oh, Cowboys Dolphins. Sorry, Cowboys
Yeah.
Dolphins. Well, I mean, look, we've seen all season that Tua, when he gets pressure up the middle, he struggles. And when Tyreek Hill is out, when things aren't going for him, he really kind of leans on Mike McDaniel and Tyreek Hill. And when he gets pressured, and this line hasn't been great this season. So when he gets some pressure, he struggles. And then this Cowboys D line is pretty good. So I think Dallas is going to bounce back and they're going to control this game. I mean, I think Dallas and Miami are very similar, where they're kind of like they beat up on bad teams, but they kind of choke against good teams. But I think Dallas is more of an established roster, and Dallas is more of an established team than Miami. So I think Dallas will handle Miami relatively easily.
Okay. I mean, I don't know about easily because here's my thing. The Dolphins offense is very similar to the Niners offense. McDaniels, coming from the Niners, coach of the Dolphins. I mean, they run the ball like crazy. They got Mostert in there. They got Tyreek Hill. Tua could run if he wants. I think they're going to run it down Dallas's throat just like the Buffalo Bills did. And Dallas had no answer for Cook or Allen for that matter. I think they're just going to follow Buffalo Bills formula and do the same thing. Sure, the Cowboys have to, figure that out this coming week. Like they got to fix some things with their run defense, but I don't know if they just follow that same formula, they could be really tough to stop, especially Mostert and Tyreek Hill. So and their formations, the Dolphins formations, like I said, very similar to the Niners. They keep you guessing. Cowboys have trouble with that, so I would be concerned if I was the Cowboys.
Yeah, Steven, but you got to remember McDaniels is a Shanahan guy, so obviously they run the same scheme. But anyway, you make a bunch of good points, but the key factor you're missing here is that, and you're like forgetting, is that Tyreek Hill, he's really banged up. So I don't know if he's going to have, a 150-yard game like Tyreek Hill always does. And they're going to try to run the ball, and Dallas knows that. So Dallas is going to try to stop the run. They're going to try and make Tua throw down the field, and they're going to try and pressure him up the middle. And Tua, there's some times and moments where Tua's first read, second read isn't open, and he's got to hold on to the ball longer than normal, that he struggles. So I think Dallas, I don't think they're going to blow them out necessarily, but I think Dallas is going to get off to a lead early, and I think they're going to hold on to it. So I think Dallas is going to control this game.
All right. I mean, it's a good point. And like I said, I don't think, I wouldn't be surprised if Dallas wins the game by any means. I mean, right now the line is at -1.5 Dolphins. So it's pretty much a coin flip at this point. But I want to ask you this. Do you think this is a must win for the Cowboys? And I know it's not a must win as of like their season's over. They're obviously making the playoffs. They're going to be fine. But is this a must win for the Cowboys to prove to America like they are a legit contender? Because I feel like if the Cowboys lose this game, no one's going to take the Cowboys seriously going into the playoffs. But I feel like if they win this game, people will take them serious again. I mean, I know people have taken them serious before, but when they got destroyed by the Bills, people started bashing on the Cowboys again. So is this a must win for the Cowboys, this game?
Steven, I'm going to say no, and the only reason I'm going to say no is because I know what Dallas is like in the regular season. As long as they make the playoffs, I don't really care what they do at this point in the regular season. I want to know what they're going to do in the postseason. I've seen many
Yeah.
good seasons from the Dallas Cowboys in the regular season, so win or lose here doesn't really matter to me. I want to see what they do in the divisional round. If they can make the NFC Championship game, which they haven't in 25 years, they've lost to the Niners twice in a row in the playoffs, got their butts kicked by them earlier in the season. I really want to see what they do when they face the Niners inevitably in the playoffs. So.
Yeah.
Does this game matter for me? Is this make a break for Dallas? My answer is no.
Okay. Yeah. Fair point. Fair answer. I guess maybe just for me, if I'm just hating on them, if I feel like I would take them more seriously if they won this game. But yes, their biggest test is what they do in the playoffs for sure. Because like you said, they have great regular seasons, but they fall apart in the playoffs. Yeah. So I feel like that's it on the Cowboys. Or Cowboys Dolphins. Moving on.
Miami, yeah. So
Sorry, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I just want to add quick. Miami's the regular season version of that. They kind of choke in the regular season. Dallas will do that too, but they'll make the playoffs. Miami's still at that level right below Dallas, so they're similar. But Dallas is a higher class, one step above Miami right now. That could change, but
for sure. Yeah, I agree. Okay, moving on. Another game of the week, maybe game of the year, and maybe a Super Bowl preview this weekend. 49ers versus the Ravens, number one team in the NFC and number one team in the AFC squaring off this weekend, actually on Christmas Day. That's going to be a fun one to watch. So I don't know what's your take on this. Obviously, I want my Niners to win, but what do you think's going to go down? How do you think the Niners can stop Lamar Jackson?
This is really tough. I'm on the fence about this. I'm on the fence. My initial gut take when hearing that Niners Ravens, I gotta say Ravens. Why? Lamar Jackson is just an X factor, and his numbers don't always show it. But the way he can control and manipulate the game, the way that he controls this Ravens offense, it's pretty unbelievable. Just the fact that his numbers are way down from what it usually is, and he still looks amazing every Sunday. But the Niners, what they're going to have to do, they're going to have to stop the run. They struggled with that last week. I don't think that necessarily the Ravens are going to run for 200 yards. I just think their defense is really underrated. So Purdy might have a game where he somewhat struggles, and struggling for Purdy isn't, he's still going to have a solid game, I think. But this Ravens defense is very underrated. It's definitely top 3 in the league, right up there with the Niners. It's going to be close, but I think the Ravens are probably going to win, like 25-22, 26-23, something like that. And I think Lamar Jackson's the difference.
Yeah, for sure. Niners definitely have a tough time against running quarterbacks. But the Baltimore did lose their running back, another running back for the
Keaton
season,
Mitchell,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is it for the season?
Oh, I thought it was. Yeah, I thought it was like ACL or something crazy. Yeah.
Yikes. Yeah, Baltimore's always losing running backs. Dobbins now Keaton Mitchell. So.
Yeah. So
unfortunate.
What was I gonna say? So yeah, Niners are favored by 5.5. Yeah, like I said, we have a tough time against running quarterbacks. We got to keep Lamar Jackson in check, obviously. But here's the thing: the Rams almost beat the Ravens in Baltimore, and they put up 30+ points on the Ravens. So if the Rams can do it, I mean, like, why can't the Niners do it? So that's my
Steven. Let's not forget the Rams also almost beat the Niners early week 2. I'm pretty sure it was. So let's not forget that. I mean, the Niners kind of controlled the game, but it was pretty close. Steven, you were definitely biting your nails in that game. So don't forget about that.
Yeah, I mean it is. But that was a division game, and division games are always
get weird. I agree with that. I do agree with that. But Baltimore. It's tough. My initial take, Baltimore, it could change as the week goes on, because I do think the Niners are the best team in the league. But I think Lamar just is such a difference maker that he would be the difference in this game, just because Baltimore's defense is so underrated.
Yeah, definitely. And trust me, don't get me wrong, I am nervous about this game. I for sure think we could lose. I'm not saying it's a lock for sure, but I am shocked we are favored by almost 6 points. And Niners tend to step up in huge games.
Yeah, that is.
I don't know.
That is really high. I'm very surprised. But are the Niners home in this?
Yeah, we're home, so that
I guess
helps.
That makes. Yeah, it probably gives you 2-3 points there. But yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be closer than that. But you never know. I mean, the Niners, when they do get a lead on teams, they do kind of tend to blow them out. So, but I don't see the Ravens
Yeah.
getting blown out by the Niners. Lamar's just too good for that, and that defense is too good. So it's gonna be fun to watch. It could be the Super Bowl preview. Two very good teams. So
Yep, exactly. It could either make my Christmas or ruin my Christmas.
oh come
in this
on, you
game.
guys are getting the 9 seed. I mean the 9 seed, the 1 seed regardless. The 9 seed
Oh,
division of the Niners.
I mean, not regardless. I mean, if Cowboys win and we lose, it's back
Yeah,
to
but I mean, you do have the tiebreaker over them if things get hairy.
true.
So
Yeah, it's gonna be very interesting. So yeah, moving on. Let's talk MVP race. I just looked at the
yeah, what are the
line.
odds?
Yeah, the odds on this. And right now it says Brock Purdy -200, which I'm shocked. And then in second place is Lamar Jackson +450, and then Dak Prescott in third +750. But I mean, obviously, this game between Jackson versus Purdy, if Lamar Jackson just dominates and wins, that will just flip flop just like that. Purdy would be in second, maybe even be in third. Yeah, I don't know who's leading your MVP race right now.
Oh, it's got to be Brock Purdy right now. I mean, I do think Dak had the slight edge, but after this week, the combination of Purdy already beating Dak and destroying him, Purdy beating more good teams than Dak. I mean, Dak's lost to the Eagles, even though they beat the Eagles also. Lost to the Bills. They lost to the Niners. But then, the Niners beat the Eagles. They beat the Cowboys. So the Niners have definitely beaten better teams. And Brock Purdy's a big part of that. I mean, he's leading the NFL in all categories a quarterback could possibly lead in that are important. So, I mean, Brock Purdy, at some point you got to understand the quarterback's pretty good. Is he the best player on the team? Probably not, but he's pretty good. So
if Purdy doesn't win the MVP trophy, who do you think would win it between Lamar Jackson and, yes, Dak Prescott, but what about Christian McCaffrey? Because he definitely deserves it too. What do you think about McCaffrey getting it?
Well, before the injury, I would have put Tyreek Hill in there too. But honestly, it's tough. It's really tough right now. I think Lamar is the most valuable player in the league, but his numbers don't really show that. It's kind of a best. Let's be honest. This award is the best quarterback in the league award, and I would love McCaffrey to have it. He's the most. If Lamar's the most valuable player on this team, then McCaffrey's probably second, or he's 1A, 1B. So I have no problem. McCaffrey gets it. I have no problem with that, Steven. I just think Lamar. What is most valuable player? I think Lamar is that. How important? Where would the Ravens be without him right now? I know Huntley. They were competitive, but they would not be at the top of the AFC, being legitimate Super Bowl contenders without Lamar Jackson. The way he manipulates the game, I said that earlier. I think he's the most valuable player. Who do I think would get it if Purdy didn't win? Probably Dak. I don't think Dak's out of it just yet. He did hurt his odds a lot with that loss and how they got blown out. It did hurt his odds a lot, but Purdy's odds were hurt a few, with that 3-game loss stretch, and things change quickly. We know that, and there's 3 games left, so he's not out of it, but it's not looking good.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And like we said earlier, I mean, it's gonna change week to week, like. Every single week from here on out will just determine who could win MVP. Because some seasons we know halfway through the season and they stay MVP the whole way through. It's like an easy. Right. We know who's going to be. But this one, it's a fun one. I've never talked about MVP race this much. Obviously, because my Niners are in it, but like I can't remember it being like so close in a while.
Yeah, it's just because there's no runaway favorite, It's not anyone putting out outrageous numbers, That's why when Tyreek Hill was on pace for 2,000 yards, he's probably not going to get it now. But I would have had no problem with Tyreek Hill, but that's not going to happen. It was the last non-quarterback MVP. I think it's Adrian Peterson in 2012, if I'm not mistaken. So it's been a long time. And I think it's probably at this point, unless Purdy completely wets the bed against Baltimore, I think it's going to Purdy. Even the 49ers don't necessarily win that game. If he plays well, Purdy's probably still going to be the favorite.
Yeah, definitely. I could see that. Even if he throws like 2 touchdowns, maybe 1 interception, I think should be fine. But who knows? It'll just be game to game.
I think I saw a stat, Steven. I mean, when McCaffrey, Brock Purdy, and Debo all play from start to finish, they're undefeated. But that's really nitpicking at this point. But
I actually think it's because of Trent Williams too. Because when Trent Williams was out, that's when we would lose too. So that's a big factor.
Yeah, that was simultaneously, I think, with Debo earlier in the year. Yeah, that was tough.
Yeah.
But he's still probably the best left tackle in the league. Or if he's
Oh
top
yeah.
2 or 3. He's old now. It's the fact that he's still doing it at the age he's doing it. Very impressive. He's a Hall of Famer for sure.
Oh yeah, he dominates there for sure. But yeah, it should be interesting the rest of the season, seeing the MVP race. Going into our last topic here. So these are the fan questions. We got a few, and then I have we have a few, and I have a couple here. Someone wanted to talk about the Colts, and what's your take on the Colts? Like, they could easily make playoffs. I think as of now, I think they're in a wild card spot, right? They're in the 7th.
Yeah, I think they're the
spot.
7th seed. Yes.
Yeah. I mean, the coach definitely deserves Coach of the Year.
Consideration for sure.
Yeah, consideration. So, do you think the Colts could be a legit contender? I mean, I know they're not going to make it all the way to the Super Bowl, but they could maybe give someone trouble first round if they make the playoffs.
So if I'm the Colts, regardless of what happens here, you make the playoffs, you don't make the playoffs, I would be very excited with your head coach. You have a brilliant offensive mind, Shane Steichen. And look at the Eagles. Their offense has completely struggled since they lost Shane Steichen. Before he started calling plays, when Sirianni was calling plays, they were struggling. They handed it to Steichen, I think, 2-3 years ago. Hurts flourished. A.J. Brown was going off, completely going off. Then they lose him, and they've kind of struggled now. And look at the Colts. With Gardner Minshew, you're in a playoff race here. And do I think they make it? Well, right now, I think the 3 teams that do make it in the wild card will probably be the Browns, the Bills. That's tough. Maybe the Colts do sneak in there. That's tough.
Yeah.
I got to look at the schedules.
Or Texans.
I had the Texans before, but then, they lost to the Jets and Stroud got hurt and, Tank Dell's out for the season. And, I still think it's I'll probably go Texans there. Yeah. So probably Browns, Bills, Texans. As far as the Colts, I think Gardner Minshew, I like him. He's probably one of the best backups in the league, but he's limited. He's definitely limited. You have 2 really good running backs. Your defense is pretty underrated. So there's a lot of things to like, but maybe get 1-2 more weapons. I like Josh Downs, love Pittman, even got injured on that concussion. That was a rough hit, but I could be wrong. They definitely could sneak in as the 6 or 7 seed. I think the Browns have locked themselves in. But look, even if they don't make it, there's a lot. If Colts fans should definitely be happy with the way this season turned out. I think if you had Anthony Richardson, he's going to add another level to your offense next season. I liked a lot of what I saw before he got injured.
Yeah, definitely. And he's just from being injured, he's going to learn a lot from being on the sideline. I mean, he's going to come back better than ever next year, I think. So, yeah, Colts fans have a lot to look forward to. Because going into this season, I can't remember what my prediction was for them, but definitely wasn't this good.
I think mine was 3-14. I thought they were going to finish last. Yeah,
So
I thought them and the Texans are going to be the 3rd and 4th pick in the draft. So they both surprised me, especially the Texans. But the Colts,
yeah,
I make picks every week on my show, and usually I somehow always. This whole season, I've been picking against the Colts, and they keep winning and winning and winning and winning. And here we are, and what are they, 7-7 now, or 8-6 or 7-7? I think it's 7-7.
So yeah, they're 8. Well, Colts are 8-6. Texans.
Oh, they're 8-6. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So they're very impressive, and I think it comes down to their head coach. So great job.
For sure.
Even though I think their owner's kind of crazy, but
yeah,
they got a good head coach, and he was smart in picking him. So.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question, we kind of already talked about this. Who would you most be scared of in the playoffs, Colts or Texans, if you had to face them? Got to pick one.
Texans, because of their quarterback.
Yeah.
The end.
Yeah, definitely. CJ Stroud he's playing very well.
Yeah. He's already on the outskirts of top 10 quarterback in the league. I mean, I need to see more from him. It's only his first season. He hasn't even had 16, 17 starts yet. But I like a lot of what I see so far. So they got a chance. Look, the Colts, the Texans, and the Jaguars are in a 3-way tie right now. So any one of those 3 could end up winning the division. That's kind of crazy to think about.
Yeah, for sure. And my next question, along the same lines, in the NFC, who would you not want to face first round out of these teams? Seahawks, Rams, or Vikings?
Who would I not want to face?
Who do you think would be the toughest matchup?
Rams, Seahawks, or Vikings? I'm going to go. I'm gonna go with Seattle because of their roster. I think they have the best roster out of those three teams, and I think when they get even decent quarterback play, they're a pretty competitive team. We saw it against the Eagles, and I think we're gonna see it moving forward if they could sneak in because the Rams did beat them twice, so the Rams do have the tiebreaker. So I don't even know if they're gonna even get in, but if they do get in, they're probably the most competitive out of those three teams. Even though I like the Rams, as long as you have Stafford and McVay. And I don't know any other than Aaron Donald. I don't know many names on that defense. But that's what I'm saying. Seattle has the better roster out of those three teams, so I would probably go Seattle there.
Yeah, and obviously that's with Geno Smith in there.
Either or. I mean, Drew Lock. Look, the gap
Yeah.
between Drew Lock and Geno Smith, in my opinion, is not that far off. I think Geno Smith's a better quarterback, but I don't think the gap's necessarily that far off. They're both second-round draft picks that turn into busts. I mean, Geno ended up making it eventually, but they're very similar in the way they play, too. So I feel like the drop-off isn't that large, Steven.
Yeah, for sure. I agree. And yeah, I wouldn't be worried about the Vikings, even though my Niners lost to the Vikings, but that was with Kirk Cousins.
I'm a little confused why they got so quick on benching Josh Dobbs. You know, he had 2 comeback wins for you, and then he had a bad game and a half, and they were so maybe I guess because Nick Mullins knew the playbook and they saw things in practice that we don't see. But it was a little confusing to me, the fact that they traded for him and benched him so quick.
Yeah, it's weird. It's like they're kind of getting desperate there. They just don't know what to do.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are my questions as far as the fan questions and my questions go. Do you have anything for me? Anything you want to talk about really quick before we end it?
So I'll just ask you one thing, since you're a Niners fan. What is the bare minimum that you have to see from this team this season to not have the season be a complete disappointment? Is that NFC Championship game? Is that winning the NFC Championship game, getting to the Super Bowl? Is that winning the Super Bowl? What is your what is your minimum of like expectations, basically?
I mean, this is a tough one. If you would have asked me earlier on in the season, I would just say probably just making the Super Bowl. Obviously, you want to win the Super Bowl, and they always talk about the window, and this is, I feel like, is our window. Next year could be a window too, but man, if we don't win it, I mean, I don't like looking too far ahead. I'm not that kind of guy because some of my friends are Niner fans. Are like, yeah, we're going to the Super Bowl. I'm like, no, one game at a time. Do not get ahead of yourself.
Yeah.
So I hate talking about
Right.
that, but I would say my expectations, we got to make it to the Super Bowl. Win or lose, that's one thing. But I'd be pretty disappointed if we don't even make the Super Bowl, to be honest. And it depends who we play in the NFC Championship. Like, if we lose to the Eagles again, I would be super disappointed. If we lose to the Cowboys, I would be super disappointed. But if we lose to, like, I'm looking at the list, I don't see us losing to any of the other teams, so I don't know. Yeah, I think we have to make the Super Bowl. Yeah.
That's why I agree. I think bare minimum you got to make the Super Bowl, and I think that the reason why is because I think you lost to the Eagles last year, and I think that's a big, like you just said, if you had to lose to the Eagles again, how bad that would look. So I think minimum is Super Bowl. Even though Kyle Shanahan needs to win a Super Bowl, the minimum you gotta get over that hump and get there because they've been in the NFC Championship game a couple different times for Garoppolo, and they only got over that hump once. So
yeah, that's. Yeah, like I said, I don't like looking too far ahead because,
Well, it's the same thing with Dallas. You're only like it's like the Golden State Warriors when they were at their best. They didn't care about the regular season. It's about the playoffs now for you guys. Whatever happens here in the regular season, sure you want Purdy to win MVP. Sure you want McCaffrey to win MVP or Offensive Player of the Year. But really, it comes down to Super Bowls for you guys. That should be the priority on your mind. And I think you have a great head coach to do that. So if there was ever a year, this is your year. So.
Yeah,
I hope that makes you feel a little better.
For sure. But sometimes when you think it's someone's team's year, it never happens. So you just
know. Look at that dream team of the Eagles in 2011 when they were calling themselves the dream team and it was a disaster. The Jets this season was a disaster. I was saying Super Bowl of Boston.
Yeah, wasn't that hilarious? Like most analysts were like, "Oh, Jets could easily go to the Super Bowl with Aaron Rodgers."
Yeah. I think we all learned now that even if Rodgers was playing in this offense, yes, it would be a lot better, but this would not be a top 10 offense. With that line, so.
Definitely. And I always said from day one, even before he got injured, I'm like, but that's if Rodgers stays healthy. And then look what happened game 1.
Yeah, I mean, I think looking back at it now, I think we all knew deep down that he wasn't going to play a full 17 games. To think he was going to go down in 4 snaps, no one could have predicted that, Steven. So no one could have predicted that.
Sorry, that's what I kind of wanted to lead into. This is my last question for me, at least. I think you talked about it, but I forgot what you said exactly. Rodgers is not coming back, right? Is that for sure? Like,
No,
because
he's
there's no
done.
point,
He's not
right?
coming back.
So he's already said
He
that.
he hinted at not coming back. Yeah, he basically
Okay.
said that he's not even 100%. So yeah,
Okay.
he's not coming back.
So what's your take
Yeah.
going into
So
next season? Like, what's your make it or break it thing for Jets next year? Just make playoffs?
So this season, right? So this season, it was minimum get to the AFC Championship game. Next season, you gotta make the playoffs. Let's make the playoffs. Maybe win a playoff game. Right now, I'll put it at just make the playoffs because the Jets haven't made the playoffs. I think 13 straight seasons. It's the longest drought in the North American sports. So the New York Jets
Wow.
need to make the playoffs. So let's get there. I think Robert Saleh is like third. What is he like? Third, his record as a head coach is terrible, like 16-31 or whatever it is, 16-32. It's not good, not good. So he needs to win games. Then he
Yeah.
make the playoffs. Minimum Jets need to make the playoffs next season. I'm not going to have as high expectations as coming into this season because Rodgers didn't play for a whole season, so I don't even know how it's going to look. So definitely
Yeah.
not going to be as high as this last offseason, but I'll definitely have some expectations going to next season.
Yeah, I agree. And like, so if you guys don't make playoffs next year, Salah's gone, right? That's pretty much number one.
Yeah, yeah. Robert Sala's gone if we don't make the playoffs next year.
Yeah,
For
no,
sure.
that makes sense. And if you guys are, if you don't have a chance, I mean, I don't knock on wood, but if you don't have a chance, say like 3/4 through the regular season, I feel like you fire him during the regular season too.
Like
Just
this
like,
year or next year?
No, next year, next year.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be that. I don't think it'll be a disaster like it was this season. But hey, you never know.
No.
We need like four offensive line starters. So we need another receiver. So they need to address a couple things in the offseason. If they don't do that, it could be very much the same next season.
Yeah, definitely. And I don't think you're gonna pull a Chargers by any means. So
No. It's surprising that they actually fired their head coach mid-season. Usually they don't like to eat contracts. They're pretty cheap there. So the fact that they did that, usually they don't do that. That's what happens when you let up 63 points, though, Steven. So
Oh yeah.
hopefully the Niners don't do that against the Ravens. Don't knock on wood. So.
Oh geez, that would be embarrassing. Well, I hope we do it to the
I'm
Ravens,
kidding, man.
but yes.
I'm kidding.
But
Yeah,
so,
there you go. Maybe I'll reverse psychology.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, this is gonna be an amazing week, guys. I appreciate you guys watching the video. Appreciate you, Will, hanging out for the video and talking NFL football, man. This was fun. We got to do this more often.
Steven, it's a pleasure. Hey, come on my show sometime. Maybe we'll get these going more often. It's always a pleasure to come on. We have good dialogue, so always enjoy it, man.
Awesome. Appreciate all you guys watching. Don't forget to subscribe to both of our channels and catch you guys on the next video. Peace.
Take care.